Hey. So about a week ago, the embargoes for the Xenoblade X DE gameplay has been lifted. So all these channels were coming out with a bunch of new gameplay and reviews all the way up to chapter 4. And as we know, over the course of these couple months, we've been getting a lot of information about Xenoblade X. A bunch of new features have been added, a lot of overhaul to the game itself in many different areas. Now in this video, I just kind of wanted to go over a couple of the features that I think are going to be the most beneficial and the ones that I'm most excited about. So like the best quality of life features that we've gotten so far. There are way too many to cover in this video alone, so I will be linking Yggdrasil's video in the description. He has an entire like 40-minute long video going over every single quality of life change that we have gotten so far. I'll also link JB's video as well as like another source of information and quality of life changes in a bit of a shorter one if you want to see that. But with that, let's get started because I'm really excited for these changes and this game as a whole. Now the first one here is actually something that I had mentioned months ago, before, I think after the first trailer we got, and that was multiple save files. And yes, it looks like we will be getting multiple save files, 3 and like a 4th autosave file, and this is going to be so helpful. I wanted this very badly because I have wanted to replay Xenoblade X multiple times, but I didn't ever feel like creating an entirely new user just to play the game, and I obviously didn't want to delete my save file. But we do have 3 separate save files here, which is a huge plus. This was one of the things that I wanted the most. This was up on the top of my list. And it looks like we are getting multiple save files, and there is an autosave feature. Now, there's not really any confirmation on how often this autosaves. This is probably around like every 15 minutes or so, 10 to 15 minutes, just like regular interval, or after like certain quests or whatever, not really sure. But autosave will be a feature in case your game ever crashes for some reason, because I know sometimes you'll go on long play sessions without saving. So an autosave feature as well as multiple save files is a very welcome addition. This is more of a minor change, but also very helpful, and I think a lot of people were complaining about in the original game is that we will be able to toggle or at least change the Skell flight music. So either an instrumental version, a version with the lyrics, or an option to just not have it activate at all. Because I know in the original game, sometimes you would accidentally go into flight mode and then the song would start playing, and then you have to get out of flight mode and then the area theme will start playing again, and it's all just very janky. I also hope there's a way to jump in the Skell even after you get the Skell flight module, because in the original game, if you press ZR, which was the jump or fly button, you'd immediately start flight mode in the Skell. So I hope in DE there's a way, for example, if you just tap the ZR button, you jump, and if you hold it, then you start flying. So that'd be very helpful, because it is kind of annoying to have to enter flight mode just to jump over a little like ledge and then get out of flight mode. It's just very janky and takes out from the immersion. But there is an option to change the Scout flight music, and speaking of Don't Worry, which is the name of the Scout flight music, it has a brand new remixed version, which I want to play here, a little bit of it here for you, because it's really nice. Another new feature that is going to be very helpful, that I'm pretty sure a lot of people found very annoying in the original game, was recruiting party members. Now there is an entire tab on the menu, its own separate menu within the main menu, to where we have a list of all of the party members we have unlocked so far. And instead of having to run around in the overworld trying to find where they are in order to recruit them, because that can be very annoying, constantly having to look up where certain party members are and then having to go there to actually recruit them, we can just go into this menu and put them in our party from wherever. So that is going to be very helpful and save a lot of frustration and time. And if you notice, there are 22 slots here, and that means we're getting 4 new playable characters. In the original game, there were 18 playable characters, not including Cross. So now there are 22, which means they added 4 more, and we already have 2 confirmed ones, being Nail and Lizel, which we kind of already knew that was going to happen. And for the other 2, it is most likely going to be the Black Knight. I mean, because it's pretty obvious, why wouldn't he be one, especially if he's going to be playing a big role in the post-game chapter. And for those of you who haven't found out yet, the new story content is unlockable in post-game, so you have to beat the final chapter of the game, chapter 12, in order to get to the new story content. So it's not like Future Deemed or Future Connected or even Torna, where it's just a separate thing on the main menu. No, it is an extra mission, an extra chapter once you actually beat the full game. But and for the last slot, a lot of people think and hope it's going to be Gajarg, and considering he uses a photon saber, it would kind of make sense. And apparently there is also a brand new art for the longswords that wasn't in the original, so there's a high chance that Gajarg is going to be a new playable party member, which would be very surprising and a nice addition for a lot of people. I was hoping Gabuide, I'd rather have Gabuide in over Gajarg, but Gajarg is probably like the most wanted new playable character. Another feature that Xenosaga 3 fans are really going to appreciate, and that is we have our Xenoblade X has its own version of the database now. Back in Xenosaga 3, it had a database which was basically just an encyclopedia of all of the information and lore of the game. In there, so everything you needed to know about Xenosaga 3 lore was in the database. So now it looks like here Xenoblade X has its own version of that, and by extension it actually has some sort of functional tutorials, because in the original game it was just like a pop-up on screen and then you just never got to get it again. I mean, not counting the Wii U manual, which obviously that's not a thing anymore, so they would kind of have to have tutorials here, but it's just like Xenoblade 3's like little tutorial or tips page where you can just go in there, anything you want to know about gameplay or whatever is right there for you to look at, so that's going to be very helpful as well. Now another one, this is more of a minor one that I don't really care for, but I know a lot of other people will appreciate. As like a side note to that that's kind of connected, is that we will be able to customize our avatar, so customize Cross in the main menu, so we don't have to go to like a specific location to change it. We can change it whenever in the main menu, and that is related to the other kind of like feature I wanted to talk about, was that you are able to freely switch between English and Japanese voice acting for this game. And in addition to that, you are also able to choose and change the voice for the character, so choose which voice actor specifically you want to have for your character in English or Japanese when you switch between the two. So like I said, that doesn't really affect me much. I don't really care for changing between. I'm just going to stay in English anyway, and I'm not really going to be changing the voice actor, so it doesn't affect me much, but I know other people will appreciate this. And finally, the last one that I want to mention, which is going to be probably the biggest one in terms of like combat and basically like meta and endgame builds and all of that, is the quick recast feature. Now, this is a brand new feature exclusive to Xenoblade X DE, and it basically allows us to reuse any art even after if we just used an art and it isn't cooldown, you can expend the bar down here on the right of the arts palette. If you press the Y button, it consumes a certain amount of that energy to immediately recast an art that you are hovering over. So you can effectively just use arts twice in a row as long as you have, or at least as many times as you want, as long as you have enough energy for it. Now just imagine that in overdrive for arts that have tertiary cooldowns, like side slash, for example, you could use it 3 times in a row in overdrive. So you can use it those 3 times, and then you could use it 3 more times with quick recast. That is a lot of damage and a lot of TP back. But quick recast, I'm very excited to see how people will use this in terms of like end game builds and optimizing combat and everything. There are going to be some insane strats using quick recast, so I'm very excited to see that in this. Can also, something that I noticed earlier, this is also going to be very, very helpful for hitting soul voices. So say you've used all of your arts in the arts palette and a soul voice comes up, you'll be able to use quick recast to proc that soul voice and heal yourself, so you won't be screwed and just fucked and die because you don't have any arts to use for the soul voice. So that's also going to be another very helpful feature when using quick recast. And those are about all the features that I wanted to talk about in this video. There are plenty and plenty and plenty of more being added into the game. Another one that I had just remembered while saying this right now is that in the overworld, when you're running around and you have a segment on the frontier nav selected, so when you open up the frontier nav, you can select certain like hexagonal segments, and in the overworld on the mini map, the segment is actually highlighted here, as you can see, with like the yellow hexagon there. So that would be very helpful to show you exactly where you are in each little segment for like collectibles and whatever else. So that's another thing that I thought was very cool that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet. But those are really all of the features that I wanted to talk about in this video. Again, like I said, go watch Yggdrasil's and JB's videos in the description for like the full coverage and all of the new quality of life changes we've gotten so far, because there really are just so much. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I do have like a couple story related videos and some theories about the extra story content, so I'm kind of excited to put those out. But bro, these last couple weeks leading up to XDE are going to be so hype, so I can't wait till this game comes out and actually experience it. And like, even though I had already played the original, playing it again with just this like this huge glow up is going to be so much better. Everything, it looks better, it runs better. Okay, the loading times are damn near non-existent. The loading times are very short. It is a godsend, this remaster. But that's about it. See you next mission and play some goddamn Xenoblade.